Right. Hi, everyone. I know it's 9 o'clock. We're going to give people just a couple more minutes to jump on and then we'll get started. All right, so it is now 9:02. In the interest of time, we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to the Downtown Business Stakeholder Meeting on Science. Just some brief introductions. My name is Lauren Knox. I'm a senior planner here with Development Services at the City of Reno, and I'll turn it over to Angela.
Hi, and I'm Angela Foose. I'm the Assistant Director here with Development Services.
All right, so we have a short presentation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. Okay, can everyone see that?
Not yet.
Okay, try again. Now?
I cannot.
We are having technical difficulties today, so let me try a different way. How about now? Oh, Don, I see you've raised a hand. Let me open you up there. You should be able to unmute on your end, Donald.
I can see it.
You can see it? Okay. All right, well then we'll go ahead and start with that. I appreciate you jumping in. Okay. All right, so we have just a brief presentation and then we will go ahead and basically open this up for conversation. We are looking to get some feedback today. So the purpose of this meeting is really, we're currently updating the city's sign code. So this is an overall citywide update. The purpose of this meeting specifically is to really let the downtown business owners know what's in place today in terms of signage, and then seek some feedback from downtown businesses on what it is that you may want in the future, what your desires are, and really just, again, eliciting some discussion from this group. So some further background on really how we got here. Back in June of 2022, Council initiated a sign code text amendment. In the fall of 2022, we engaged with a sign consultant, thinking we'd need to do an overall update of our entire sign code, and it had been a while. In the spring of 2023, we held some initial sign stakeholder meetings to discuss what needed to be included, what people were having issues with, what they thought needed to be changed. And then in September of 2024, we held the second round of stakeholder meetings to really go over some of the proposed changes that we had come up with. This last October, we brought this item to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission gave us some feedback to engage with the downtown businesses, so that's where we're at today. So again, we initially started some discussions in 2023 with stakeholders, and some of the general feedback we received about our sign code is that we have a sign table. So it's basically a table of different regulations by zoning district, and that table needed to be simplified. There's a lot of information there, so some simplification was needed. There's some inconsistencies, formatting issues, unclear language. In fact, staff even had some issues with this language and some various implementation issues that we needed to address with the current standards. And then we also needed to address something called content neutrality. So that's really a legality piece saying we can't look at the substance of your sign. We can look at the design, we can look at location-based things, but we can't look at the content of your sign and use that as a rationale for approving or denying. So again, this is overall for the city. Some of the areas that we are not proposing to change, so we did not touch these items. Off-premise billboard regulations, this was a hot topic in the past. We're not touching that. Digital and animated signs, especially particular to that NIT level. So that was also a big conversation. NITs are basically how you look at the amount of lighting that comes from a sign. So we're not touching that. And gas station signs were actually a conversation of the past as well. But those are actually regulated by NRS. So we are not touching those items. And again, just overall, some of the general issues, not specific to downtown, but overall for our sign code. Again, we have that table of sign regulations, and we learned through this process that we were missing some of these zoning districts, and we needed to address those. We needed to put some standards in for those particular districts. We updated some definitions, tried to be a little bit more clear. For example, freestanding sign. Generally, we refer to both pole signs, that's that sign there on the right, and monument signs, that's that McDonald's sign there on the left. Those are all examples of freestanding signs, but is a pole stand freestanding? Is a monument sign freestanding? What do those really mean? How is a monument sign different than a pole sign? So we just wanted to go in and clarify what those pieces were. And then again, we addressed that content neutrality piece, which I already touched on. Some more general issues, again, difficulty implementing the code. So we like to use this example here, this footnote 5. So it says here, the allowable square footage may be doubled on arterial roadways with a posted speed limit of 35 miles an hour or greater. So first off, great, okay, maybe doubled. Then we get to arterial roadway. What is an arterial roadway? Well, there are multiple different bodies involved in roadways that define this roadway different, this roadway classification. So trying to figure out what is an arterial is actually more difficult than one would think it would need to be. So sometimes it's listed as an arterial and sometimes it's not. And then how do you make that determination in light of a sign? And then on top of that, posted speed limit of 35 miles an hour or greater. So speed limits can change on roads frequently, or even on one section of a road, it could be higher than that. And the next section, it's not. Say you put up a sign and at that point it was 35 miles an hour or greater, and then it dropped down, suddenly you have a non-conforming sign. I mean, it just causes quite a bit of issues when you're looking at these pieces separately. Some more feedback we received is that we had too many footnotes for our table. So as you can see there, we have approximately 13 footnotes currently. That's a lot. It's a lot for someone to try to navigate and someone to try to understand. So as staff, we really tried to integrate those into the table where possible. So you're not flipping back and forth through all the pages. Some of them were removed and some of them were further clarified because again, there's sometimes very confusing language in there. And then for signage, we also had different types of entitlement reviews for different types of signage. Some signage is allowed, most signage in fact, is allowed outright as long as it's following that sign regulation table. But what we did for the ones that do require a discretionary review was require what's called a major site plan review. Very similar to a conditional use permit. It goes through the planning commission. It has a discretionary public hearing, gets the public involved in those pieces. So we wanted to be consistent with that type of review. All right, and you may catch yourself wondering, okay, well, what does this mean for my current sign? This doesn't mean anything for a current sign. As long as it's maintained and in good condition, we have existing non-conforming regulations that allow existing signage to remain, regardless of any changes we might make to the zoning code. So this is very comparable to other codes. For example, building codes change frequently. We don't require you to completely change your building every time the building code is updated. So again, existing signs would not be touched. Along with that, we have no changes proposed to casinos. So we haven't proposed any changes to regulations on signs for legally established gaming facilities. It's another key piece I want to point out here. Okay, so again, We are really here today to talk about the downtown area, specifically the entertainment district. So within this district, there's been virtually unlimited signage allowed for over 2 decades. There have been minor modifications to the district name or the district area, but there has intentionally been unlimited signage in the city's entertainment core since 2001. So it's really a key part of this conversation here. In the current proposed change, staff is not proposing to give more, not proposing to take away from this area. We've actually proposed to keep that unlimited sign allowance, maintain it in this specific area. Because of this, we've received a lot of public comment and feedback expressing concern over this particular allowance. And due to all of these comments received, the Planning Commission, that's when they wanted us to really engage with the downtown owners regarding this specific allowance and get some feedback on how it's really working, what's really wanted, how do we move forward with these 2 pieces. So again, what we're trying to get to here today, and we'll open this up in just a minute, what sign regulations are really desired in downtown? What do business owners want to see? What is it that you've been doing? What is it that you're using now? Have there been any impediments to doing new signage? Do you not want these larger signage? What does that really look like, and what do you want? And just some very quick next steps in input process. So again, we're going to open up this conversation for everyone, but if anyone wants to send any sort of written comments or engage with me, my email is right here. It's knoxl@reno.gov. I'm happy to discuss via email or take any comments in that way if that's easier for anyone. In terms of our next steps, we are also planning to go to City Council in December to just garner feedback on what we've heard, what the Planning Commission heard, what the public said, and what direction council wants to go with an ordinance update. And then at that point, we also anticipate an ordinance update in early 2025. So that ends my presentation, and I'm gonna open it up to anyone here who wants to give some feedback or if you have any questions. So you can use the raise hand function. It's down generally at the bottom of your screen if you wanna talk, and we'll go ahead and pull you over so you can speak. All right, Donald, I have you up first. I am gonna unmute you on my end, and you should be able to do so on yours as well.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say that the Eldorado Silver Legacy Circus are in favor of what we currently have, and we would be opposed to any changes that would limit the number of signs or their brightness in the future. Thank you.
Understood, thank you. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak? I'll give you another 20 seconds or so. Art? All right, Art, I have unmuted you on my end. You should be able to unmute on your end as well. There you go.
I did. Okay, thank you, Laurel. No, I completely understand and appreciate the fact that the city is trying to clean up something as complex as sign ordinances are. Having been a planner for decades, and having written sign ordinances, I know how cumbersome it can be. And the issue of the footnotes, I can understand why people were so confused by that, because typically people don't look at it in the footnotes, and having it all consolidated into the table makes a lot of sense to me. I am not a business owner downtown, but I am a stakeholder. I'm a resident of downtown, and I, along with other residents, would appreciate being considered stakeholders because we do have a stake in this. And I say that particularly because the master plan, policy 3.1B, talked about housing options for a thriving downtown and university district. The policies within the master plan specifically provide for more and more and more housing in the downtown area. Then I want to bring up the issue of residential adjacency, which is something that the city talks about a lot, but it only seems to apply to residentially zoned property, not predominant residential use properties. If you look at the high rises downtown that are in the mixed use district, the majority of the uses within those high rises are residential, not commercial. So I've always had an issue with this residential adjacency not pertaining to predominant residential uses. So for the record, I want to just bring that up. Thank you.
Thanks, Art. Certainly appreciate hearing the comments and the feedback. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, I don't see anyone else wishing to speak at this time. Again, if you think of something after the fact, or if you talk to someone else and maybe they would be interested, feel free to utilize my email here. Again, knoxl@reno.gov. Happy to take all the feedback we can get. I certainly appreciate everyone joining us today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.